Hello and welcome to the Revolutionary Wrestling Podcast. I am your former, dozen-time champion, Tony fucking G. Like, share, and of course, subscribe, folks. You know it's the right thing to do. I am joining you here live tonight at the Revolutionary Wrestling Podcast on a Friday, March 25th, 2022, folks. Yes. Like, share, subscribe the stream. I am here to give you an update as we are on the road to WrestleMania 38. And we did have some news happening this week, so I figured what better time to jump on live and talk to you folks. You fine folks. Maybe you're watching AEW Rampage, although I don't know why you would. Maybe you're watching SmackDown, which frankly, if you're not watching Roman and Brock, there's really not much on that show to watch. And yes, thank you, Justin. Tony fucking G is correct. So I wanted to jump on tonight because some things did happen this week, and I felt compelled to talk about them. But again, I'm Tony G, Revolutionary Wrestling Podcast, and I am sipping on some Maker's Mark 46 tonight with all of you. If anybody wants to jump into the chat, talk some shit, disagree with me, agree with me, give me some commentary back on what I'm talking about, or give me some predictions, I am all ears, folks. That's what I'm here to do, to talk to you and give you the skinny on what happened this week and what is to come. So we again are on the road to WrestleMania 38, coming to you live from fucking Texas. In just, 8 short days this thing kicks off. Does it even feel like WrestleMania season? Because it sure as hell doesn't, I don't think. That's good stuff. So, without further ado, I do want to jump into a quick topic real fast before we talk anything WrestleMania, card-wise or prediction-wise. First and foremost, I thought this was really great. It was announced that WWE is going to be honoring Shad Gaspard with the 2022 Warrior Award at the Hall of Fame ceremony. Shad Gaspard, obviously the former WWE superstar, died while saving his son. He will be honored posthumously with the 2022 Warrior Award at this year's WWE Hall of Fame ceremony in Dallas, nearly 2 years after the tragic incident. This is all coming from TMZ. This was really cool. I thought it was such a sad story. And it's been 2 years already. Unbelievable. Maybe you forgot about, he was in the tag team Crime Time, a very goofy, gimmicky, stereotypical thug type tag team back in the Ruthless Aggression era. But they were a really popular and really good tag team. And Shad Gaspard saved his son from drowning, cost him his life, but a hero's death for sure. And them honoring him this way is just, it's really nice. You like to see this. This is a nice, fun story to start the thing off with. Our hearts go out to his family still to this day. So, with that being said, less than fun news, and this is actually coming out of ESPN today. This is one I expected, honestly. I'm surprised it didn't happen sooner. I didn't expect it to happen this close to Mania. Honestly, I thought that this would be maybe an after Mania thing that they would drop on us. But yeah, a week to go from WrestleMania, and it is now confirmed that Triple H has announced his retirement from in-ring action after his heart surgery. Kind of had a feeling that it was going to come down to this because he has not been anywhere near WWE since he had heart issues, and it was expected, but it's still very, very saddening to hear because he was just such a staple for so long. And you could even count on him, even if it was once or twice a year, to compete at WrestleMania. He's been doing this for so long that he was kind of one of the only guys left that's tenure not rivaled, but could almost stack up to that of The Undertaker. And he's been such a fixture. And even if you knew his in-ring days were dwindling down, even if you got the one random match once in a while from him, it was one of those things that you did look forward to because he was such a big deal. And for the better part of a decade, like, he was the final boss of WWE during the during the power trip of Triple H, when he first stepped into power, creatively speaking, it was Triple H, and if you couldn't beat Triple H, you weren't getting over in that company. When Triple H first got in to WWE, he was really not. He wasn't somebody I thought was going to be a big deal. I really didn't. I thought it was kind of a throwaway gimmick. He came in as Hunter Hearst Helmsley, and he was a refined, very distinguished, highty-tighty gentleman, right? And it was a very forgettable gimmick. It was very run of the mill. It was pretty much standard at the time with WWE, even though they were starting to phase that out, and as they inched closer to the Attitude Era. But he would come to the ring with escorts, and I believe actually Sable. That's how she debuted, was with as one of Triple H's escorts. But once he aligned himself with Shawn Michaels, he moved away from the Hunter Hearst Helmsley persona, and that's when he became Triple H. And once he became Triple H, and he was aligned with Shawn Michaels, the formation of Degeneration X took his career to such heights that he probably never expected. But he did align himself with the Clique in the backstage: Kevin Nash, Scott Hall, and of course Shawn Michaels, and Sean Waltman. And he was pretty much set once that happened. But with the departure of Nash and Hall to WCW, his tenure was a bit in question because of the curtain call. And he did get punished because of that, because he was the one that stuck around, and they weren't going to punish Shawn. But he stuck it out, and he rode this thing out, and he made something special with Shawn Michaels with Degeneration X. They pretty much ruled the roost in WWE and rivaled the NWO, which had such a power hold all over wrestling at that time. They offered an alternative to an alternative, which was, call it a ripoff all you want. But I really fell in love with DX because of the antics, and it was unseen, it was unheard of at the time. And even if you like the badass stuff the NWO was doing, the counterculture alternative that DX offered with Triple H and Shawn, that was so much fun to watch. You never knew what they were going to do next, and it was so much Jerry Springer and unexpected craziness. But once his back injury allegedly caught up to him, Triple H was kind of left to run DX on his own. Shawn retired from in-ring action, and it was just Triple H's faction at that point. He was the leader of a faction that had almost no members. So he brought back Sean Waltman, the 1-2-3 Kid, as X-Pac, coming fresh off of an NWO run. And together, they took DX and they brought in Billy Gunn and Road Dogg, and they made the second wave of DX. And it was it was a breath of fresh air. It really made the faction even better. The legacy really did grow from there. But that is what showcased how good Triple H could be. He went from being a mid-card guy in DX, an Intercontinental Champion, to really kind of showing the world that he could be a world champion one day. And that's really where it began. When he became the leader of DX and he started showing that he could run rampant over a show or a company, that's really when it turned a corner for him. So as the DX days kind of started dwindling down, and he really started setting himself apart as the true leader of the pack, and he moved into that world title picture, it was around that time well, whichever time you want to consider, but he did start seeing Stephanie McMahon. And once that happened and they became an item, they've never looked back. And that transition from just leader of DX, mid-carder, moving his way up the ranks, to the power couple of Stephanie and Triple H. Everybody who remembers watching Raw at the time remembers the two pillars on either side of the Titantron, one with Triple H's face and one with Stephanie's. I will never forget that. I thought that was just absolutely great. One of the best touches that there was. Jeremy Kunert, I am running solo, FYI. This is not your standard dog and chicken show. I know we are in the normal time slot, so I can't physically see what you just did. I know you dumped some stars. I'm assuming it's 50 for a social. I appreciate you, sir, and let me know what you're drinking if you are. Thank you much. But yeah, once once he became kind of the golden child, and he had Stephanie, and he had the backing of Vince, and once Vince embraced him, like, he was a made man at that point. And once he started, for me personally, it was the feuds with The Rock, even on the lower ranked cards, all the way to the main events. When he really started having a big feud with The Rock, every time he feud with The Rock, I always paid attention closer because I thought they had such a good chemistry together, and that really made him. And he had great feuds with Mick Foley, and it was the wins over Stone Cold eventually not taking his spot, but slaying that dragon. That's what really cemented his place atop the card as a world champion. And, you know, even as popular Stone Cold Steve Austin was at the time, it was time to cement a new heel at the top of the card. And Triple H was kind of perfect for it at the time because he had the build, he had the physique, he had the mic skills, and he was charismatic enough. And he'd shown that through different iterations of DX and the corporation and what have you. He had enough charisma and in-ring psychology to really hold a main event style feud and really make it something special. I loved when he was on top because everybody hated it so much, and it made it so special to see him lose, but because he did not lose very often. He was really a badass heel at the time, but he even took that and ran with it even further past that. I'm gonna jump over here. I did want to look at some of his highlights. Let's see here. I am looking at Wikipedia. Blame me. So yeah, the McMahon Helmsley era that ran from about 2000 to 2001. That was a lot of fun. I loved that. When he was with when he stepped up the card even further, when they did the brand split, because he missed a big chunk, like the entire invasion angle. Lucky him, he didn't get his stink all over that. Like, he missed that. Luckily, he didn't have to be remembered for anything that disaster was. But when he came back from that, the invasion angle kind of fizzled out. And he came back and they did the brand split. Yes, sir, I am drinking. Thank you much. I'll cheers with you. But when he came back and they had the brand split, you had two different world titles, just like they do now. And he, on Raw, kind of cemented his place atop the card at Raw. He came back to Raw. He was a face when he came back, of course. He won a Royal Rumble, gets a title shot at 18, and he defeated Chris Jericho, who had a really lackluster run, unfortunately, to become the WWF champion at the time, the undisputed champion. And that was great, but it was really when he became the heel during the brand split for me, when he really started setting himself apart. And once he became basically the reign of terror, they called it. This thing ran from, basically 2002 through 2007. Everybody that they didn't bring in for the WCW invasion, like the likes of Scott Steiner, fucking Goldberg, all the big names, eventually they'd start showing themselves on WWE television, and they would all run into Triple H, and basically all of them fell. Booker T is probably the most infamous. At WrestleMania 19, Booker T was supposed to go over. Triple H kind of said, nah, I don't really want that to happen. And that was one of those infamous slow crawl over, lay your arm across pin. 1, super slow count. 2, super slow. 3. Like, oh, he's got a kick out. He just makes him look terrible, but it did kind of bury Booker T. I will never forgive him for that. That was unfortunate. But this was during the Reign of Terror, and he had a stranglehold on WWE. It was one of those unprecedented things. Yeah, for the better part of a decade, he was the man. So yeah, multiple championships from 07 to 09. I did enjoy the DX reunion from 06 to 07. That was fun, nostalgia-wise, him and Shawn. And then, a third run in 09 to 2010. That was, yeah. And then ultimately, the matches with The Undertaker at WrestleMania, the back-to-back, after Shawn Michaels had his back-to-back, with The Undertaker at WrestleMania. Then it was Triple H's turn. That first match was so damn good. It was so damn good. But it was the following year, the Hell in a Cell match with Shawn Michaels as a special guest referee. I'll watch that thing routinely because that was one of the greatest wrestling match storytelling spectacles that you could probably think of. It had a cage, it had tension, it had legacies on the line, it had friendships, it had turmoil. That thing was perfect. And I wasn't even watching WWE's product at the time, and I can go back and watch that now and still just fall in love with that match because it was just so phenomenally done. Shawn Michaels showed that he's one of the greatest referees. Undertaker's just WrestleMania prowess, the Hell in a Cell, and Triple H's amazing ability to look so strong even in defeat. That was one of those career highlights for me. And of course, the image of the three at the top of the ramp embracing after the match. That was one of the greatest just things I've ever seen. And I did kind of gloss over his Evolution stable with Randy Orton and Batista and Flair. What a run that was. Gee, the influence that Ric Flair had on his career. 2013 to 2016, the Authority angle, that was a very long-standing portion of his career, and eventually that led to the WrestleMania 30 match with Daniel Bryan. He lets Daniel Bryan go in the main event and win the title in the main event at WrestleMania. That was just one of those staple things, and it wouldn't have been possible without Triple H. Yeah, and then we're gonna dwindle down some of his final feuds, like Roman Reigns. That was a really misfortunate time to have that one because the crowd just was not behind Roman Reigns. They really enjoyed the Rollins feud when Rollins came back from an injury and Triple H turned on him. That did kind of move Rollins up just a little bit. He was pretty high up in the order already, but the Triple H rub definitely helped him. And yeah, we're just going to go ahead and skip all the Undertaker, Kane, and Shawn Michaels stuff in Saudi Arabia and Australia. We don't need to talk about that. But I was thinking today, like, as soon as the announcement was made, like, what was his last match? It had to have been the Batista WrestleMania match. Oh, goodness. At least he went out on top, and he got an Evolution match in at the end, and then I was scrolling on Facebook and realized that was not actually his last match, and I put this out of my mind. Turns out Triple H's last actual in-ring match, January 11th, 2021, against Randy Orton in the fucking Thunderdome. Yeah, that's how his legacy ends. It's such a shame. It really is, because Paul Levesque, one of the most underrated, I will say it. A lot of people don't put him in that upper echelon, and they should. One of the most underrated workers of his era, and he's been doing this for 30 plus years. And to have it end this way, it's really unfortunate. He ends up having a bunch of heart problems and surgery, and the way that he had taken NXT and built it into something so special, and then his health problems come at the worst possible time, and NXT's basically been reduced to it's a parody of a wrestling show. It's terrible. You can't watch it now. At least I sure as hell don't. And what is there left for Triple H to come back to behind the scenes? That's the real question. Does he even want to come back? Or does he just want to kind of fade off, do something else? Because he could do that if he wants. I mean, Stephanie's still going to be at WWE. The money's going to keep rolling it. I don't know. Whatever Triple H does decide to do, and I'm assuming he will be back. I would have loved to see the guy just go off on his own and buy Ring of Honor before Tony Khan ever had a chance to do it. But alas, that was not meant to be. So if Triple H ever does get back into WWE headquarters and still has some pull, and it's not just Nick Khan trying to sell this thing off to Disney, I'm definitely in your corner. And from the bottom of my heart, and everybody here at the Revolutionary Wrestling Podcast, Paul Levesque, Triple H, your career was one that we will talk about in the history books. just long after your retirement, because it was an anomaly. It was so special. You busted your ass tooth and nail to get to the position that you achieved multiple times over. And your world title reigns, was it 11? He really has a lot of accolades. He really shaped a lot of the way that wrestling worked after not just during the Attitude Era, the Monday Night Wars, but well after. And what wrestling is today. AEW probably wouldn't even exist without Triple H's version of NXT. Let's be frank, because the thirst was there, and he really filled a gap that was not being filled. It's unfortunate. I wish you could have had one more match against a truly worthy opponent on a grand stage like WrestleMania, but was not meant to be. But here is to a career, a storied career that should be celebrated. And I hope, I know WWE will definitely send you off right and highlight your career the way that it truly deserves to be highlighted. Thank you, Triple H, for all the fantastic, memorable moments over all these years and decades. Thank you, sir. We lost another old guard. It's, wrestling is not what it used to be, folks. But, moving right along, you knew it was coming. You knew I had to talk about it. Steven Jeppinen, for sure, one of my favorites from the 2000s. Yeah, exactly. Pretty much everything post WWE invasion, WCW invasion angle, everything he did after that was main event tier stuff. All main event tier stuff, and he did it better than most, and he really did have a stranglehold on the business. We're going to talk about something I keep bringing up. What's going on? Cody to WWE. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about the update. So I came on here the day that it was announced that Cody Rhodes was leaving AEW, and the speculation began. Was he going to come back to WWE? Like, no, he's not coming back. And the chatter just picked up more and more and more that day, and people started believing. I'm like, come on, give me a fucking break. He's still in AEW. He's still under contract. Just because they're releasing this press information doesn't mean he actually left. This is a work. It's all an angle. Well, it kept going and kept going and snowballing. There was talks of him going to Japan, Ring of Honor, still back to WWE. And then it kind of fizzled there for about a week period where, okay, maybe we did get played. About time Revolution was going on. And then after that, it's been full gear. Cody is signed to WWE. There are tweets saying that he has done something big. Wink, wink. And basically all Dave Meltzer, Cultaholic, What Culture, The Dirt Sheets, Wrestling Inc., all the major news sources are saying he has signed a contract. And Meltzer specifically is talking constantly about how basically Cody's going to show up at WrestleMania, kind of like the Hardys did several years back, or like an Undertaker versus John Cena match at WrestleMania. Rollins will be in the ring, and Cody just, his entrance music hits, and then he comes to the ring, and they have an impromptu match. To me, that seems completely fucking ridiculous, even as I'm saying it out loud. Why would you do that? Like, I know all the smarks reading the dirt sheets know about this news. But why would you not hype it? You've got one more Raw before WrestleMania, and you're not gonna, if you have him under contract, you're not gonna have him show up on Raw to get more people to watch WrestleMania? We're just basing this all off of the assumption that he really did sign a contract, and he's just gonna surprise show up at WrestleMania? I know WWE's business-making decisions on Raw and SmackDown are pretty questionable at best, but this is just bad booking for the sake of bad booking. So if that actually ends up happening, if Cody Rhodes does just magically appear at WrestleMania, what was the point? To have a match with Rollins? Rollins has been the feature of this entire non-feud build, and he's going to have to lose. You don't bring Cody back to lose, so yeah, obviously Rollins would have to take the big loss here. So I don't understand what's gained by this other than just an acquisition of another guy that they mishandled in the first place, went off, made a name for himself, started a company, and then came back for a big payday just to have a quick impromptu match with Seth Rollins at WrestleMania, and then he will fade back into the background after that. It doesn't make sense. It's still, and I say this out loud, and I'm going back to my original prediction. This is a fucking work, people. It has to be. There's no other explanation. I understand the money's there. I do. I get it. The money is definitely there, but the money was with Tony Khan too. So really, what would this be about? Legacy? I mean, give me a break. His WWE run? Stardust? What is he trying to prove to everybody? Because the fans in AEW started seeing through his bullshit, like I told you all about when AEW first started. I said, look, Cody's too far up his own ass. He needs to get out of his own way. And finally, everybody caught up, and they turned on it. Are you telling me they really drove him away back into the arms of Vince McMahon? I don't believe it. I can't believe it. I cannot wrap my head around this concept. I don't think that this is real. The only thing that's making me think that this could almost possibly be real is that they've been dropping hints during Raw. Corey Graves specifically has been dropping hints, saying stupid things like Seth Rollins is at a crossroads, or his WrestleMania hopes are dashed. They're dropping little, this is such a nightmare for Seth Rollins. I don't. That's the only thing that's making me think. Steven says you underestimate WWE right mental brain damage. They are good at writing brain damage. I agree, Steven. But it's just that's the only thing. That's the only thing that's made me kind of second guess my prediction of this is bullshit. I guess it would make sense if you have a speculation out there that you've re-signed a guy who is linked to AEW. And people want to believe it, let them believe it. Hell, stoke the fire. Why not? Throw those little jibs out there during Raw. Let Corey Graves say that stuff. Let people believe it. Let people buy the Peacock Network or buy WrestleMania on pay-per-view to watch it, to see Cody Rhodes show up. Hell yeah, why not? Why not let people believe what they want to believe? And when he doesn't show up, well, we never said he was coming. That's brilliant. But the other brilliant part of this is people on the AEW side, the specific AEW fanboys, are freaking out about this. They hated him at the end of his run. And now that he's gone, wink, wink, supposedly, allegedly, they hate him even more because they are convinced that he's going back to WWE. So it's kind of beautiful on both sides. When it comes prediction time next week for WrestleMania, I don't know what I'll actually end up predicting, but I know in my heart, I'm still sticking with my original prediction, folks. This has been a work from the start. Cody said late last year, I'm going to be involved in a storyline or an angle that's never been done before, that you've never seen before. This is it. This is the storyline. He didn't leave AEW. His contract did expire, yes. Does that mean he didn't re-sign? Maybe, but he has all the intention in the world to go back to AEW. And that was the other precursor I said. If he doesn't actually leave AEW, or excuse me, if he does leave AEW and he signs with WWE, it's going to be a short-term thing. He'll do his quick WrestleMania match, if he has one, or he'll do his run, and he will end up back in AEW because that's where he should be. He will be just another face in the crowd at WWE. He's not going to be in the world title picture, and if he is, it'll be a very short-lived one. I don't think he'll win the gold. So, again, I don't see what's to be gained. And if I'm Cody Rhodes, I don't... why tarnish your legacy? You did everything right. Everything right to make your name bigger than it ever could have been in WWE. Just to go back now that it's big, and you're going to just kind of be another medium-sized fish in a really big pond. Yeah, I don't see it. This is still a work. Cody Rhodes ain't coming to WWE. He's not going to be at WrestleMania. I'm sticking with it, folks. But yeah, if you look at the, I did want to share this. If you just Google it, like Cody to WWE, this is what pops up. Let's just read some of the headlines. Wrestling Inc. Backstage news on how WWE may present Cody Rhodes. Chris Jericho confirms Cody Rhodes' WWE return, says Wrestling Headlines. Yeah, he dropped a tidbit about Cody being back in WWE. I think there's just too much effort here. Too many people are making it too obvious. Too many people are saying Cody in WWE. I think they're just trying. They've instilled this idea in our heads, and I think it's paying off. I mean, hey, K-Fab's alive. I think this is great that people are allowing themselves to believe something. I think it's great. They're doing a great job selling this point. 411 Mania, high-profile people in WWE pushing Vince to keep Cody Rhodes' AEW aesthetic, the American Nightmare aesthetic. Cultaholic, WWE higher-ups pushing for Cody Rhodes to retain the American Nightmare presentation. Wrestling Inc. news on what Cody's sister was referring to when she said Dusty Rhodes would be proud, and they assumed it was talking about his big WWE return. Wrestling Observer, Cody Rhodes versus Seth Rollins. There you go. Like, that's what it is. All like this. WWE officials are adamant Cody Rhodes be everything he was in AEW, says the Sportser. So it is. It's like they paid off the journalists to buy this thing hook, line, and sinker. And if they did, I applaud them. Like, Tony Khan's got that fuck you money. And if he wanted to pay off some of the journalists to pretend like this is actually happening, great. Hell, maybe he threw somebody in Gorilla at WWE, or fucking Corey Graves himself a couple of hush money bucks to stoke the fire. I think that's great. I think it's fantastic that people believe this. This will be a very delectable prediction if it is proven that I am correct about this one. Now, I'll be honest. My prediction powers felt a little bit waning when it started looking like I might be wrong on this one, but it's not over yet, folks. And I think in the end, Tony G will once again be vindicated on this one. So, real quick, again, I don't think Cody's coming to WWE. Doubling down. All right. With that being said, one real quick, well, let's call it, fairly gross storyline. Ty Conte and Sammy Guevara got steamy this week on their social media platforms. Do I show the picture? Here, I'll zoom out so it's not nearly as big, because I don't know how. I mean, obviously, it's not like nudity or anything, but yeah, I don't know. This one had a little bit of cringe to it. Yeah, there's Sammy and Tay doing a page with the title belt there. Enjoy your time cleaning the belt, Dynamite. Yeah, that was a fun one. They've kind of become the new couple, the cringe couple of AEW since Cody and Brandy haven't been around. People loved it at first, and Guevara's a fan favorite, but if they keep up this lovey-dovey, we're just bubbly persona, the fans are going to turn on you. I mean, unless you want to show more mostly naked pictures of Ty Conti, then yeah, they'll probably love the shit out of you, but is what it is. Steven, why can't we take pictures like this together? Hey, you know what, Steven, if I win the title at WrestleMania, if I win the RWP title back at WrestleMania, we can take that picture. You know what? You heard it here first. Me and Steven are going to be taking the Ty Sammy pictures when the title comes back home to Tony fucking G, all right? It just needs to happen. Everybody wants to see it. So yeah, that was an interesting little tidbit I saw this week. I don't know. Again, Maker's 46, folks. Highly underrated bourbon. Delicious. So yeah, AEW's been... Dynamite's been rough, honestly. Let's be frank. Strap that belt on my bare ass bucking style. Damn right. Yeah, without CM Punk on the show and Dynamite, it's been kind of a rough go. So it's nice to see other things take the highlight when the show's having down weeks, and they have been down weeks since Revolution. Excuse me, folks. I don't usually get to do this much talking on this show. Wonder why. So let's get into the main event, folks. What is the WrestleMania 38 rather, card thus far? Can we just admit that WrestleMania's the special feel of WrestleMania? It's kind of gone. I said this at the top of the show, but it doesn't feel like WrestleMania season. We used to look forward to this, like starting in January. Like Royal Rumble was the road to WrestleMania. And now we're talking about a week away. A week away. We don't even know the full card for this fucking show, folks. The full card has not even been established, and we're a week away. That's insanity. Vince McMahon of the late 90s would have had a heart attack if we were a week away from WrestleMania and the card were not finalized. This is not the same company or presentation, not by a long shot. It's not even the same Vince McMahon. The death knell for me was the 2-night spectacle. I understood the sentiment behind it because sitting through a 7-8 hour fucking WrestleMania, yeah, that was a lot to ask of a crowd. That was a lot to ask of the viewer. But the answer, they thought, was make it 2 nights. That wasn't the answer. Hell, go back to some of the earliest WrestleManias. They were only 2 hours. You don't have to put everybody, the 24/7 title, the caterer, into the main event battle royals. You don't have to do that. Not everybody has to make Broadway, folks. You don't have to put everybody on the show. And I understand the paydays. But WrestleMania was supposed to be special. It had the best match between the biggest rivals, between the stuff that they'd been building for a year. This was the culmination. WrestleMania was the main event of the year. Everything built towards it. And now it's just another show. And Vince basically proved that by removing the number from the logo itself. When they took the number away, when they made it 2 nights, and now it used to cost $50-some plus to buy WrestleMania. Now you can watch WrestleMania for less than $5. They took everything that made WrestleMania special and basically threw it out the window and did the complete opposite. It should be 1 night. It should be $50+. It should be maybe 4 hours. Not everybody should be on the show. I don't need celebrities. I need real wrestlers, real superstars, the special matches, the feel-good rivalries, the culmination. It needs to feel like something was built towards, and the payoff is there. This is just another show. It's just another premium live event. There's nothing special about this. And they try to make it special by bringing back Stone Cold Steve Austin because they're in Texas, by having celebrities like Johnny Knoxville show up. I don't need legends. I don't need celebrities. I don't need musical acts. I don't need 2 nights. Hell, I don't even need this show for $5 on a shitty streaming service. Give me the WrestleMania that's 4 hours long, that cost me $50 that I had to save up for, with 2 massive superstars that I actually want to see have a throwdown, barn burner, legendary match. That's what I want. I want to feel like I'm watching a real pay-per-view, a real culmination, spectacular, spectacle event of the year. Right now, WrestleMania has none of that. And I hate to say it, but I'm going to say it. WrestleMania has no chance of ever becoming special again as long as Vince McMahon is at the helm. He's just convinced that this is a day-to-day business now. It's a day-to-day, week-to-week thing, and he can change anything he wants at the drop of a hat, and nothing has to be special because it's just a cog. It's a cog in his empire. It's unfortunate, but once Vince is no longer in the picture, that's the only shot we're ever going to have a wrestling promotion in WWE ever again. Because right now it's a sports entertainment program, and it's pretty lacking on the entertainment part. So, hopefully WrestleMania will deliver in the important areas. Fingers crossed. So, let's get in, and this is what WWE's website. This is their website. What do they have showcased for the Showcase of the Immortals? WrestleMania, Saturday, and I shit you not, it says so far. Folks, we're a week away, and the WWE website says WrestleMania, Saturday, so far. I can't believe I'm even reading this. Like, I'm looking at it. I've lived these 2-night WrestleManias for years now, and it still doesn't seem real. Anywho, what may be the main event, may be the pre-main event, the SmackDown Women's Championship, Charlotte Flair, the champ, versus Ronda Rousey. This will be good. This is going to be good. This is one I'm actually looking forward to. I cannot wait for this one. This will be fantastic. Charlotte will carry Ronda. Ronda's going to get her big stuff in. They're going to tell a great story. It's going to be a good match. That one could go either way. Will Ronda be there next day? Don't know. Is Charlotte going to put her over since the last time we saw Ronda at Mania, she lost? Could be. This one could go either way. Really looking for I hope they get the main event. I do. Raw Women's Championship match. Don't know why they're doing both of these on Saturday. Kind of a strange choice to make. Champ Becky Lynch, the man, versus Bianca Belair. And I get long-term storytelling. When Becky Lynch came back at last year's SummerSlam and beat Bianca flat in an impromptu match in like 10 seconds for the title, I hated it. I hated the way they did that. They did Bianca so dirty. And they really did a bad job of keeping her strong after that loss. They did have to build her back up quite a bit to get to this point, but they didn't need to make her look weak to get back to this point. So is this going to be Becky Lynch retaining once again and cementing herself as the man, or is this Bianca Belair getting back into that top tier? Honestly, I don't know. This is another one. This could go either way. And like I said, in Vince McMahon's it's a day-to-day, week-to-week, this show is just a cog in my empire business. I don't even think he knows. If the show's not finalized a week before the show, the winners probably aren't either, folks. So if you ask me to make predictions right now, I'd tell you, let me wait a few days. So, moving on. That'll be a decent match. Should be a decent match. The KO show. Not a match. Kevin Owens, one of the best workers they've got on the roster. Not having a match, having a talk show segment with personal favorite, Stone Cold Steve Austin. This weird Texas, I hate Texas gimmick that Kevin Owens has done. That's what gets Stone Cold Steve Austin out of quote-unquote retirement to come to a talk show segment. You assume that this is going to boil down to a fight and Owens will take the stunner, and that'll be the way that if this is the main event of Saturday's show, that's how you end the show. Stone Cold gives Kevin Owens a stunner, celebrates, beer baths, fade to black. Simple enough. I also saw it reported that this could be where Cody Rhodes makes his long-awaited return. And I thought this was the dumbest thing I'd heard. Speculated. Seth Rollins joins Kevin Owens to host Stone Cold Steve Austin on the KO show. And they end up double teaming Steve Austin, kicking the shit out of him. And then multiple packages after we go to dark, then the lights back on, and we watch multiple packages, and eventually Cody Rhodes makes his in-ring return to a WWE ring and saves Stone Cold Steve Austin. Yeah, that's it. Cody Rhodes left AEW to sit on the shelf for months to show up unannounced at WrestleMania to save Stone Cold Steve Austin, who has no affiliation with, against Seth Rollins and Kevin Owens. That may have been the dumbest thing I heard. And if that ends up happening, fuck you, Cody. Fuck you, Vince. What a waste of everybody's fucking time. Something that is going to be so goddamn good. Folks, if you only watch one match from WrestleMania 38, let it be this one. Edge versus AJ Styles. Edge went ahead and did the heel turn, and AJ Styles is doing the bulldog routine here. AJ's just one of my all-time favorites. I've watched his career since he was a rookie in TNA, and he's in the waning years of his career. You don't have a high-impact style like his for very long, and he's had it longer than a lot of guys his size with his technique. And against a vet like Edge, who's done nothing but have outstanding matches since his long layoff and return, like, this one is gonna be so good. You know these guys are going to have a classic. This is going to be fantastic. I don't know. If you ask me today, I'd maybe say Edge, but this could go a couple different ways. I don't know if they intend to ever put AJ back in a main event scene, and they've teased Edge winning a title. Is this how he gets there? I don't know. One I'm not looking forward to at all. Rey and Dominic Mysterio versus The Miz and Logan Paul. Yeah, I think we covered enough on that. Drew McIntyre versus Happy Corbin. Boy, how the mighty have fallen. Jesus. Drew, saw you win the Royal Rumble live in person in Houston. COVID hit. Your WrestleMania moment was stolen. You beat Brock Lesnar for the title in front of a crowd of crickets. And here you are now. Here you are now. 2 years later. Happy Corbin. If Drew McIntyre loses this match, they might as well just fucking release the poor bastard because, Jesus. Ugh. SmackDown Tag Team Championship. Usos, the champs, versus Nakamura and Rick Boogs, who has one of the worst fucking names of all time. I don't know. This could be decent, but Nakamura could be doing so much more. And the Usos, give them an actual team to go against. Whatever. That's probably a retain for the Usos. Sunday so far, again, 2 nights, because we have to have 2 nights. Well, we'll come back to that. Pat McAfee versus Austin Theory. That's actually going to be a good match. Spoiler alert. Pat McAfee's actually a damn fine wrestler. Who knew, right? He did some great work on NXT. He's actually very, very good. He plays a great villain. Damn fine worker. And Austin Theory. If you've never seen Austin Theory work, this kid's got potential written all over him. So the fact that Vince McMahon took a special interest, I'm hoping that plays in Austin Theory's favor because this kid's going places if he can keep the bad booking and storylines away from him. Which is not easy to do in this company, but this kid could have an inside track. He's a future main eventer world champion. Mark my words. Women's Tag Team Championship match, because that's still a thing. We haven't diluted that down to nobody giving a fuck. Oh, well, this match ought to do it. The champs, Queen Zelina and Carmella, who, throw together team, versus Sasha Banks and Naomi. Boy, Sasha, I bet you're super happy about having to be in the tag team title matches. Yet again, you were one of the staples of the women's division. Now you're pulling... This is terrible. Versus Rhea Ripley and Liv Morgan, a team that I actually kind of get, but Rhea's being wasted here. Versus Natalya and Shayna, another thrown together team. I would assume you're going to see a title change here. But, I mean, that's just my gut. Not knowing dick about the build for this, but it's 4 teams. The champions usually don't retain, but at the same time, they don't put any thought into this, so why wouldn't they? Fuck it. The Raw Tag Team Championship. RK Bro, the champs. I can't believe this is still a fucking thing. They were originally going to split up Randy Orton and Matt Riddle to have a WrestleMania match, but instead... they're back together. They're still together, and they're the champs now. Again. Versus the Street Profits. Versus Alpha Academy. Because you can't just have 2 teams. No, we got to get everybody in. I don't know. I don't care. This one, I don't care. Johnny Knoxville versus Sami Zayn. Yes, you heard that. The fucking grandpa from Jackass versus Sami Zayn. Sami Zayn is one of my favorite workers and heels in the business today, but... he's wrestling Johnny fucking Knoxville, so why should I care? Why should anybody care? This is ridiculously stupid. Is this even going to be a match? I don't... like, Sami Zayn's the wrestler. He should win, right? But Johnny Knoxville's a celebrity, and we know that celebrities basically have superhuman powers when it comes to showing up in the wrestling world. I don't know. Fucking Knoxville probably squashes him. Who knows? Who cares? Boy, funny how I'm talking about WrestleMania and there's a lot of I don't give a shit matches. This is all we have. This is thus far. Oh god, they better fill this thing up with something fucking good. Because so far, this is backlash level bad. Some of these matches, and of course, the main event of the 2-night quote unquote spectacle. The only thing most people give a flying fuck about. This is going to be. I don't care if you don't like Roman Reigns. I don't care if you think Brock Lesnar's overrated. You're both wrong. This is going to be fantastic. This is the third meeting between these two guys at WrestleMania. These guys have had a great rivalry over the years. WWE Champion Brock Lesnar versus the Universal Champion Roman Reigns in a championship unification match. I am so excited for this match. I am so excited to unify the belts. I can't wait for this match. This is going to be worth the wait. These guys are going to tear each other apart. The build has been fantastic. Happy-go-lucky cowboy Brock Lesnar good guy has been one of the highlights of Brock Lesnar's career. He is having fun. He's smiling. He's giving people notes in the back. What? This is one of the most Brock Lesnar, anti-Brock Lesnar Brock Lesnar's I've ever seen. It's incredible. It's a mind fuck. This guy's never been this devoted to the business in his life, and now he's giving people notes. He's enjoying his time there. I don't know. This is another one of those cases of, is Brock gonna be there after WrestleMania? I don't know. I hope so, because I'm enjoying the hell out of it. But Roman Reigns has been so good as the top bad guy, the top guy. It'd almost be a disservice to ruin it now. This one could go either way. But man, it's going to be so much fun. This is going to be a great match. Their 31 bout was a pretty damn decent match, but that was the highest of the century involving Seth Rollins. There was it 34 match. Everybody expected that to be the year that Roman Reigns finally took down Brock Lesnar at Mania. Lesnar retained that year, eventually. Later on that year, Roman got the win, so it didn't matter. What'll happen in this one? I'm genuinely curious. This is one of the only feuds that they haven't completely fucked up. And wouldn't you know it? I'm actually excited. I'm actually invested to watch this one. Roman Reigns has been such a good heel without having to do much because, of course, Paul Heyman's there to be the mouthpiece. Roman's there to look intimidating, like a fucking Scarface mob boss. He's doing all the right things. His body language is on point, and even his in-ring style has adjusted very, very well. Because he went from being a John Cena / Hulk Hogan type, he's doing the same shit over and over, to really having to use psychology to work and win matches. And that's when he really stepped up. That's when he really kind of finally took that place on the next level that he was forced into. He couldn't reach that next step when they were pushing him as the good guy because they didn't want it, and he wasn't able to do it with the character. Now he's there. And Brock Lesnar's just always... Watch anything he did in the UFC. Hell, watch his first tackle in the NFL at the end of a fucking preseason game. The crowd erupts. The crowd goes ballistic for this guy. He is the only current working, living superstar of professional wrestling. Nobody else is on Brock Lesnar's level when it comes to in-ring presence, what it means to have a match against Brock Lesnar. If your marquee says Lesnar versus insert name here, there's nobody else in the business today that comes close to the legitimacy of Brock Lesnar. So, talk all the trash you want about the guy. Say he's overrated. Say he's just suplexes and F5s. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. And this guy's been doing this for over 20 years. Not consecutively, sure, but yeah, he's a vet at this point. And he's still just a physical specimen. Can't wait for this match. Truly cannot. One of the rumored matches I saw today before we wrap this thing up, fucking AJ Styles' former bodyguard tag team champ partner, Omos versus Bobby Lashley. Why? Seriously, I'm asking, can somebody fucking tell me why we would do this match? Why would you do this match? This is not, stylistically speaking, Bobby Lashley can't throw Omos around the ring. It's going to look like shit if he tries, and he's probably going to end up hurting not just himself, but Omos. And Omos can't work a match to save his life. He's just a big fucking presence. He's this generation's Great Khali and or God, the name's escaping me. Against The Undertaker. Jesus. I am old. I'm losing my mind. I actually watched that shit live. Giant Gonzalez. There you go. He's not a good worker. He's just a gigantic, tall man, and this match is going to be fucking terrible. If this match happens, please, I'm begging you. I know we have to fill this shitty 2-night thing up because we're committed at this point. But please don't put this match. I don't want to watch it. I'll probably go to the bathroom at this point because I can't stand to watch a guy who's not exactly an in-ring general, even though he's a veteran in Bobby Lashley, stumble fuck around the ring against a guy that shouldn't be having matches. Definitely not on WrestleMania. Please don't do this match. But you know they will. You know they will. But I just read both nights of this card for you people. And half of it is trash. You could throw half of it away. Take the other half, put it into one 4-hour show, add a couple fill-ins with people actually wanting to be seen. Hell, put Ziggler and Braun Breaker's NXT title on the fucking show. People go apeshit for that. Put on matches people actually want to see instead of bringing in celebrities and doing funny little skits and segments and having WrestleMania hosts. Cut it down to a 4-hour show. Cut half those matches out. There's your WrestleMania. Put the 38 back on the fucking logo. Stop treating this like another show, because it's not supposed to be just another show. It's supposed to be the showcase of the Immortals. And I only see like a couple fucking Immortals on this card, folks. This is disappointing, and it's tarnished the legacy, not just of WWE, but of WrestleMania in general. WrestleMania no longer feels special, but it's still the season. It's like having Christmas when you're a kid. You're so excited for it, and then you grow up to be an adult, and you're like, it's just another day. That's what's happened to Vince McMahon. It's just another day. It's just another week. It's just another cog in the gear that is sports entertainment. There's no special care given. Nothing's being wrapped up. It's just very, very disappointing. It's a knife in the back of the nostalgic youth that I once was to treat WrestleMania with such uninterest and disdain. But that's not going to stop me from watching the show, because as I said, there are some matches on there that are going to be absolutely phenomenal. Specifically, Reigns Lesnar, Edge AJ, Charlotte Ronda. And then I'm sure there's some surprises that'll happen. But yeah, I'm looking forward to about half of this thing, and half of this thing is about what we should have to watch. Instead, we have to endure a 2-night quote-unquote spectacle. But that's just my take as Tony fucking G of the Revolutionary Wrestling Podcast, and I am closing in on 1 hour, so I'm going to turn it over to the audience at this point, and if anybody has any questions or comments or wants to disagree with me, tell me I'm stupid, that I'm wrong, whatever. Tell me what your thoughts are. Give me your thoughts. Anybody have any predictions for WrestleMania? Anybody have some worries? Anybody share my sentiment about how this company that once was the pinnacle has now become just another one that's not very fun to watch? Please, I'm begging you. Any comments at all? What you got for me? Those who just joining in, Maker's 46. Truly, if you haven't tried it and you love bourbon, what the hell's wrong with you? This is fantastic stuff. And will always have a spot on my shelf. Cheers, folks. Maybe I said a mouthful for everybody because I don't think anybody can agree with or disagree with anything I just said. Maybe I just depressed everybody. You know what? I depressed me too. I get it. What was once a special occasion has now just become another day. I think that's where we're going to end it, folks. It's unfortunate, because I hope one day cooler heads can prevail. And if Nick Khan truly does sell WWE to Disney, I think that's all she wrote on a once flagship program of the professional wrestling industry. It's just sports entertainment at this point. And hell, if Disney ends up buying this thing, the sports aspect of it's probably gone too. That's an even scarier concept. I don't know if I can handle that. At least we do finally have some alternatives out there like AEW, and even though I question 75% of the shit that they do, at least that is still a professional wrestling program. And WWE could be that again. They've got all the likeness rights, they've got all the brand rights to the glory days. They could all come roaring back. It just takes a little bit of elbow grease and a little bit of actual dedication to keep the business sacred. What could be? Well, it's an hour. I've talked your ear off enough. Thanks for joining me on this week's news, updates, and the road to WrestleMania. Again, my name is Tony fucking G. Like, share, subscribe. Folks, I'm telling you, you gotta subscribe to the YouTube channel. Hit that little notification bell because next week, I'm sure on Friday or Saturday morning, we will be going live with our predictions for WrestleMania 38 as I, your former 12-time champ, and Chicken, the former COVID Miracle Christmas champion, try to take down one Phil KOE and end his reign of terror and become a new champion ourselves. Well, mostly just me. I don't care if Chicken wins. I hope he doesn't because he's won 2 WrestleManias in a row, and I think that trend has got to end. It just does. It's time for Tony G to take his rightful spot at the top, and I think WrestleMania 38 is just the perfect place to do that. Don't you? I agree. So, subscribe, like, share, and join us back here next week, 1 week from tonight, as we are on the road to WrestleMania. We will see you there, folks. Cheers.
And see if it just smooths itself out.
Tell you what I'll do if I ever get back. I promise to refabricate you, raging rivers of gold. That's what the brochure advertised. And now we're lost, we gotta take it down. Let you down slow, it's hard to survive.